United States Marine Corps, commanding.
For 20 years, this Marine stood the watch. While some of us were laying in our beds at night, this Marine stood the watch. While some of us were attending schools, this Marine stood the watch. And yes, even before some of us were born, this Marine stood the watch. As our families watched the storm clouds of war roaring over the horizons of history, this Marine stood the watch. Oftentimes, she would look ashore and see her piglet and her family needing her guidance, but she knew she must stay because she had the watch. For 20 years, this Marine stood the watch, so our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly and in safety, knowing that she had the watch. Today, we are here to say, Marine, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you've trained, led, and guided. Master Sergeant Shelton, you stand relieved, ma'am. We have the watch.
Welcome to Leaders Lead the podcast. Today, we have a special guest, one of my good friends, Tomina Ward. I bring people on this show that I'm truly inspired by, people that I learn from, and then they in turn, they come on this podcast and they teach you all the things that they're teaching me. I'm gonna tell you right now, the podcast is a masterclass. And today that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a masterclass regarding the subject, growth to grace. Welcome, Tomina Ward.
Thank you so much, brother. It is such an honor and a pleasure for me to be here today. So I appreciate you and I salute you for everything that you do and everything that you're doing with this podcast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I was doing some research. I had already did a deep dive on you years ago. That's what I do. I get inspired by people and I just kind of go down a tunnel. If anybody that's been listening to me for a while, they know I go into these deep dives, and everything that I saw about you, like, was the epitome of growth to grace. I reached out to you a couple of days ago and I said, hey, if you had to, something along the lines of, hey, if you had to categorize your life, like what would you put it? And you said growth to grace. And I was just like, wow, grace came to my head, like when I was thinking about something to write. And I was just like, that is so perfect. That is so perfect. You know your purpose. Not only do you know your purpose, you walk in your purpose. And I've had a pleasure of watching you grow. When I first caught wind of you, I think I was scrolling maybe a couple. How long you been on LinkedIn?
It's been a few years now.
Been a few years. Yeah. So it was a few years ago. I'm scrolling and I'm like, wow, look at this Marine. I saw you and I'm just like, wow, look at this, not only Marine, but look at this sister handling her business. And I heard you speak a couple of times and I'm like, man, she speaks so, like, it's so eloquent. I loved it. And I just fell in love with your content. I fell in love with your authenticity. And I'm in love with our friendship right now because not a whole lot of people in our industry or pretty much any industry share the information that you share. We both were not speakers at one point in time, and I watched that growth, and then it was almost like we both went down the same lane parallel, right? Parallel, when I didn't even know that you were speaking, and I'm like, I'm happy that she's speaking because she's an amazing speaker, and we just started sharing information, and that's one thing that I was going to ask you about, like how important is that to you, to be able to have that camaraderie in a space when you're just getting into it, not just for speakers, but just in general.
Very important, brother, because we come from an institution, 20 years in the Marine Corps, and then you come out and you're like, where's everybody at? Where's my tribe? Where's my circle? Where's my support? Because we're so used to having that in the Corps. And when you do that transition is hard enough in itself, but transitioning without people around you there to genuinely help you, that hand up that we always talk about.
Yeah,
that's very important, to have those good people in your circle that's going to look out for you when you fall, because you're going to fall and it's okay. But I think that it's priceless to have those in your circle that's going to help pick you up when you don't know, and when you need that camaraderie that you used to have in the Corps. So it's so important, brother. So important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know when I got out, I was freaking lost. I'm like, man, who's gonna help me figure out housing? Who's gonna, who's the NCOIC for housing, or where do I go to, to figure out about groceries and bills, and I'm walking through my employer, and even before that, like, who's going to help me with employment? It's not the same in the civilian world, and that's why it was meeting you with such a breath of fresh air, because I've noticed that veterans yearn those friendships.
Yeah.
They yearn, people that's going to go through it and be in the trenches with them, because being an entrepreneur, being a speaker, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the faint of heart. How was your transition? That was one thing that I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time.
And I agree. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Being a speaker is not for the faint of heart. Being an entrepreneur, please, if you think that is easy, that's the easy path, that's definitely not for the faint of heart. But no, so I'm still transitioning. I ES'd in June. That was my last day, the end of June. And so I'm a few months on the other side. So, and even when I talk about growth through grace, that's been part of what I've had to stick to because of the transition process, right? Figuring things out. Like you said, who's going to help me with housing? Is there a commissary near here? How am I going to feed myself? Because we leave the sense of security and, that blanket and everything that we've known. And then we transition into the unknown. And, it's difficult because depending on how many years you stayed in the Corps, you're used to being in charge. I'm the delegator. I'm the master sergeant. I'm the master gunnery sergeant. I got this. I'm the duty experts. And then you transition to being the one that needs the assistance. So it's a huge transition. However, if you keep your mind focused, if you keep, the intention of God leading you on that path, we kind of talked a little bit before we got started, and we were telling each other that we are both exactly where we are supposed to be. There's sometimes where we as a people, we compare ourselves to other people, right? And the thief of joy is comparison. We're thinking that we should be further along, or I should know this by now, or I should know that by now, or I should be here. But if we take that step back, and if we do some reflecting and give ourselves some grace, we'll allow ourselves to see where we've grown, how far we've grown from where we began. So taking a step, I'm taking it all in. I'm learning. I'm falling some. I'm learning from that. But the transition has been beautiful. It has been so beautiful. I'm finding and getting back to my identity before the military. So I'm
Oh,
enjoying myself, brother.
that's I'm glad that you said that before the military. I got a chance to talk to some Marines a few weeks ago, Marines that were in the second battle of Fallujah.
Mm,
And I would ask them, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because I'm on this journey of joy, right? This
mm,
journey, like even with myself, of finding true joy. And I don't feel like we will ever leave that journey until we leave like this earth.
yes.
And one thing that I noticed for me was my joy is, it's weird. It's doing the same type of things. I don't know if it's a connection with my brain or what it is, but it's doing the same type of things that I did as a child. I loved video games as a kid. I loved playing basketball. I loved riding my bike. You know, now as I like to call myself a old man, I get up every morning and I ride my bike for 10 plus miles, and it sucks, but it sucks. Like, especially today, I was freaking rain all over me. It was pretty bad, but I was outside loving it. I think I even went live on Instagram, right?
That's cool.
But finding your joy and going back to who you were before you were in the military seems to be a common thread. And that's what I was getting ready to say. Those brothers and sisters that I spoke with a few weeks ago, that's what they were doing. Some of them are traveling the world. That they love to travel when they were kids. They love it's just amazing.
Yeah,
And I love using the word joy because just saying it makes me smile. What have
yeah.
you noticed that you do right now that brings you joy?
That's a wonderful question. You know,
You didn't think we was gonna talk about joy. That's my
it's
favorite word.
good. It's so good. When I think of that, um, and it's something that I like to encourage other people to do, is to be present with your presence. What do I mean by
Ooh.
that? Be present with everything that you're good at. Be present with what's actually making you feel good right now. Be present with what makes you smile, right? Be present with all of the gifts that you have inside, because we are all blessed. We are all blessed with something special, something that, you know, people call on you and depend on you for certain things. It's just that one thing that I'm constantly pinging you for, but we're not often looking and thinking about our own presence, our own gifts. So I have been being present with my presence. I know that I'm good at speaking life into people. And that's a gift that God gave me. I'm being present with that. I'm listening. I'm obeying. I'm acting in that. I know that I have good presence with listening. You know, sometimes it's difficult to sit down and be an active listener when it comes to family members or friends. So I am really sitting down, and what brings me joy is to be present in my presence. So I recommend everybody sit down and think about all those gifts that you're carrying around. We are when you have good gifts, you're obligated to share them with the world. That's what we're here for. We talk about that purpose, right?
Oh
We
yeah.
are here to give our gifts, give our presents, all wrapped up in these little bows. I'm gonna go ahead and give you that gift, and that's
Oh,
that's that's what I'm here for. That's what God put inside me to make sure that you understand, Tony, that you're here for a reason. You're special. That what you're doing right now is touching thousands of lives. We're all here, and we have all these presents. We need to be present with our presence.
oh my God. I'm speechless. Oh my God. You just breathe like so much life. You just breathe so much life. It's
Mm,
amazing. You're speaking, and I know you ain't even doing it on purpose. You just talking, but
mm.
I just got another source of inspiration that just I got the chills in my body. That is good. I love that. I love that. I was, oh my God, the thief of joy is comparison. I want to be vulnerable really quick.
Mm,
Um, it's being a new speaker. When I first got in the game, what I started doing was I started studying other speakers. So I went John Maxwell, like I went E.T. I
Right.
went Les Brown. I'm looking at like all of these greats,
Yes.
greats.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, it puts so much freaking pressure
Yes.
on me. And I'm like comparing myself to him. I'm like, this guy, the ET said that he got into speaking when he was this age. And I'm like, man, I'm 10 years behind. And you know what I'm saying? Like I like straight up, I started like losing it. But then I started kind of like dialing them out a little bit and started looking at my own life and using my speaking ability or using my ability to speak to do exactly what you just did and just change the lives of people so that they don't have to compare themselves to other people so that they can live their life. And it's almost like in life, we go through so much, but then you find out like I've went through this so that I can help other people. Did you ever have moments to where you were comparing yourself to like anybody at all?
There are always those moments, right? I'm trying to think of someone in particular. I think even in the core leadership, right? Right. When we have good, strong leaders, and I love my male mentorship. Absolutely. I've had so many great male mentors in my life. But I've been intimidated at times by some of my female leaders because I've respected them so much, and I've seen how successful that they are, you know, how they can get on stage and speak life and do this and do that. So there have been definitely times where I've doubted my abilities and, you know, kind of needed to come back around for the validation in who I was. And you're exactly right. We're comparing ourselves, but instead of comparing ourselves, just instead of, you know, thinking about what we're here to do in our own right, we find ourselves trying to measure up to someone else's ability. But we are here, and we're good with what we got.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Present with your presence. Oh, that's really good. I always ask people, like when I see them, like especially leaders like yourself, because you know you're a leader, right? leaders like yourself that are leading people, leading at home, leading at work, and leading from inside. I always ask them, especially strong leaders, I always ask them, what have you gone through? What have you gone through to make you so strong? Even as a kid, I remember just saying, you must have been through a lot. I remember saying that as a kid.
Yeah.
But I see that. I see, I can tell that you've had to overcome some obstacles. So what have you been through?
Whew, that's a good question. You bringing it out on this podcast.
Oh man, my bad.
So I was raised by a single mother. There were times where the lights were off. There was a time where we had to live with my uncle because we were evicted. There were times where we had to borrow food because there was no food. And at the age of 15, I started working to make sure that I could help my mother, you know, take care of my two brothers and myself. And I also grew up with a sense of abandonment by not having my father in my life. I felt as though I wasn't good enough to be loved. I wasn't good enough to get the phone call for my birthday or the phone call on Christmas. So I had to love myself because of those insecurities and those doubts that I experienced. But I also tell and actually for my retirement speech, I thanked my mother. I thanked her for the struggle. Of course, no one wants to struggle. We don't struggle intentionally, but the struggle is really what makes us strong. And it's because I grew up and I didn't have another parent. It's because I saw her go to work every single day, you know, without a car and have to borrow to make ends meet. It allowed me to understand that I couldn't make an excuse. I had to figure it out and make it happen for myself. So by watching her and realizing that the 2 feet that I have to stand on them regardless of what's happening in life. And that right there is definitely a hurdle and an obstacle that I experienced early on in my life. And I use that to help me propel my career, my goals, my everything for my future. I even told my daughter, because my husband's military as well, Marine Corps as well. So there were many times where we were separated and I was a single mom and I was a Marine and I was this and all over the place. And those were tough times too. But I definitely thought about leaving the Corps. I thought about giving up my career because I doubted myself as a mother. I felt as though it was my obligation and my responsibility to keep my family together. And with that, I had to decide whether I wanted to give up my career to keep my family together or continue to move forward. And I had to move forward. I look at my daughter, and during my retirement ceremony, that was the time that I cried, is when I looked at her and I told her that she did not have to compromise, that she could have her career, she could have her goals, she could be successful, and she could still be a mother. So many, many obstacles, my brother, many obstacles, single parent home, having to figure things out, deciding to stay the course and get my own retirement check to my daughter that as a woman, she can. So there were plenty of obstacles, and that just validates the greatness that's in all of us, not only in me, in all of us, is that we can keep going.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You made me think of that quote, a calm sea does not make for an skilled sailor. You ever heard that one before?
Yeah, no, I haven't. That's good.
Yeah, I didn't make that up.
Yeah, that's good.
I got that. Yeah, I got that from Anthony Trucks. I had him on the show a few weeks back, and he said that. And when you were talking, that's what that made me think about. Just going through so much, going through so much in the time that you're going through, and just knowing that you're going to make it through because you made it through the last rough seas. That's what I thought about, man. Look like we got some comments. Let's get to the comments really quick.
Absolutely.
Good. I got to read the comments, because if I don't read the comments, they'll start leaving us.
Absolutely.
I want y'all to get this. This is good stuff.
Welcome.
Good evening. God bless you, Tony and Miss Ward. Thank you, Timothy. Timothy is my brother.
Oh, awesome.
J.R. Smith. God bless y'all and what y'all doing. God bless you and for what you're doing, brother. Ashley Chandler, thank you for this. I'm definitely.
There we go.
Ooh,
that's what I'm talking about, sister.
Yes. You're strong. You're strong. You're a strong and beautiful soul. Awesome. Oh,
thank you.
It says LinkedIn user for some reason. I think that's my wife.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why it does that. LinkedIn is so weird sometimes. Speaking of LinkedIn, your journey, do you feel like your journey on and sorry, I'm all over the place. Your journey on LinkedIn, do you feel like it's helped your transition, or has it just been like a tool?
Oh no, absolutely. Definitely helped. I was a career planner in the Corps, so that's another reason why I have some years on LinkedIn, is because I needed to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. As a career planner, we were telling the transitioning Marines, get a LinkedIn account, get on LinkedIn. I made my career planners, hey, get a LinkedIn account and request me, connect with me, because I knew the value of LinkedIn. So it has definitely helped me tremendously. The military community on LinkedIn has put their arms around me. So this right here, this website, this tool for us is extremely, extremely powerful. And we definitely need it. It's something that's absolutely needed for transitioning veterans to know what's out there, because there's really no other outlets or no other websites that's beating you down with a community of military such as LinkedIn. So very grateful for LinkedIn. Definitely helped me. So supportive. People are reaching out for speaking engagements and different things like that. So it is such a valuable tool to use. Highly recommend any, especially transitioning veterans, get you a LinkedIn account and use it. Be active, talk, be social.
I love it.
It's
I
a
love it.
good
You have so many people they'll just, especially veterans, sometimes we'll just troll each other. I did
Mhm.
it for years. We just troll each other, or we just kind of be like looky loos and just kind of watching but not engaging. So
Yeah.
my veterans, if you're watching this, put some comments in the comments section. Look at me fishing for comments. Uh, I'm gonna read it anyway,
I have to
Alex.
read mine. Oh,
I'm just
Alex,
taking
that is
in all this greatness.
awesome. Awesome.
Yes, yes, man. This audience, they love you. You're speaking. I feel like we should be paying you right now. You're giving us some freaking gems. I yeah, I bring in this notepad, and it's never because I have questions to ask. I already told you these are like organic. Like I
Yeah.
always want to ask you this, but I bring it in because I know that I'm bringing people like yourself in, and I want to make sure that I write it down. I want to
Yeah.
make sure that I write it down because, like Alex said, this is greatness. This
Mm.
is greatness, and I'm grateful to you for doing this. We're not going to wrap up, but I wanted to tell you thank you, like from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate like you. I can't say it enough. I'll keep saying it. Like I appreciate you. You're different.
Yeah. You
Why are
know,
you different?
I love, although we don't have the camaraderie in the core, I think when we interact, and I mentioned that to you even right before, is that we can feel people, we attract people that are like us. People that are good people, we feel that energy, bro. So I appreciate you for what you're doing. And this is family. Every time I meet someone new and we connect and we're cool, it's brother or it's sister. And that's what it is for life, right? So
Yeah.
being able to connect and find more family, that's how we continue our camaraderie even after the core. So that's the good thing. That's the power of networking. That's the power of doing interviews and being on shows and podcasts like this. So I
Oh,
appreciate you, brother.
thank you
Seriously.
for saying that.
Mhm.
The reason why I do this podcast, another reason why, there's a bunch of different reasons. I got a million different reasons. My goal is to inspire a million people. I don't have a timeline. I had a
Mhm.
timeline. I said a year, but I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to be like that. I don't want to put up no walls. I want to inspire people, a million people. And then after I inspire that a million, I want to inspire another million.
Mhm.
And I think that comes from because you're talking about the show. I think that comes from going so many freaking years without being inspired,
Mm.
And I know I'm looking at the hashtag inspire her.
Mm.
Does that come from maybe years of being uninspired or years of seeing other people uninspired?
It comes from a lot, of course, 20 years in the core, you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot of young kids that are lost, a lot of young kids that are upset, frustrated, depressed, going through a lot. And there's a lot of young kids that you see yourself in that you were as a younger individual trying to find their way. So when we talk about the loss of identity, there's some of us that go through our full lives and still don't know who we are, right? So, yeah, it comes from a lot of that, brother. So, being able to help someone find their purpose, find their direction, find some information that they've been trying to figure out for themselves, that's where a lot of it comes from. Just being able to continue to walk in my purpose is people. So if I can help one person, if I can inspire one person with what I say, with something that I did, something that I gave them, then I have done my due diligence. I
Oh, I love that.
God put me here to be here, to inspire, to help, to uplift. If I can do that for one person, I'm good. I can pat myself on the back for the day, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
that's what it's all about. That's what it's about.
I love that. I love that. And I actually, I've made that my life's goal
Yes.
is to inspire the uninspired, and the people that are already inspired. I want to inspire them for more. If they're good, I want them to be great. If they're great, I want them to be greater. What comes out the greater? Uh,
Greatest.
greatest. What's out the greatest? Is it most greatest? Or no?
Sure.
All right. Well, to infinity, right? Because there's nothing, man. There's nothing like being uninspired. You talked about identity, right? And I remember when I was struggling with identity, I was a teenager. The people that I looked up to people that sold drugs. I looked up to people in movies like Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood. I wanted to be like those dudes. You know what I said? I'm like, man, I'm like, I could see myself in Doughboy a little bit. You know, I could see myself in Trey a little bit. When I grow up, I want to be a daddy like Furious Styles, right? So that was like what was in my head. I didn't think, or I didn't know or understand that I could be greater, that I had greatness inside of me. So I'm glad that you brought up the identity. And once I started realizing who I was as a person, like it changed the game for me. Not even realize, but starting to realizing, because I think it's a path, right? We change. When I joined the military, I just come off of that, where I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm not living, or I'm not going towards where I wanted to be. I had already dropped out. I had dropped out, didn't even know that I had freaking dropped out. I went to get my credits, and they're like, dude, you got to go pick up your stuff downtown. That's where we take the transcripts of the dropouts. And I'm just like, damn, I'm a dropout. And that was like that pivotal moment for me. I joined the Marine Corps, and it changed my life. What about when you joined the Marine Corps? How did you end up joining?
Yeah, I joined for education. I set a goal to be the first one on my side of the family to get a college degree. And I could not do that without money for college. So that was my dog tag. That was my benefit tag that I chose. I'm sure travel and adventure was on there, but education was number one, especially growing up from, single parent home. That was my out. That was my way of making something of myself. And I didn't have the funds to do it. So I joined the Marine Corps to get my college degree. And I finished my degree. It took me a little bit in the Corps while I was active duty, but I definitely accomplished that goal. So that was my motivation. That was my what and my why for joining the Marine Corps. And 20 years later, I wouldn't change anything for the world. It has made me who I am today. I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of me. And I'm proud of all the leaders that instilled what they were into me along the way. So, yeah.
Ooh, I'm proud of you too, sis. I'm proud of you too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Oh, God. Oh, yes.
God does not call the qualified. God qualifies the call. Oh, I was commenting on Facebook, loving this. You two are changing lives. Oh, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
If you're watching this on Facebook, I'm still trying to figure out, for whatever reason, the comments. I don't see the comments. So get a LinkedIn. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. No, I'm going to fix that. I'm definitely a looker, not a commenter often. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with picking up game. I just say that.
Yes.
Faith, the size of a mustard seed, can move mountains. A mustard farm begins with a few thousand seeds. It proliferates and produces more seed. Faith is the size of a mustard farm, can move mountain ranges. Oh my God. Yes.
Go ahead, Timothy. Speak it.
Oh
Speak
man.
it, brother.
I need to write in my notes, man. I need to get
yes.
You know, when you're in the churches and they go, I need to get one of those, man. I feel like we in church today.
On the organ.
Oh man.
Because it's about to get started. We're about to get up in here.
I love it. This is good. I was going to ask you. So we talked about your past. We talked about some of the obstacles that you had to endure. Um, One thing I want to ask you: what are you doing right now? Um, I know that you have. Timothy said, "Let's do it." Sorry, I'm always like squirrel. So I was going to ask you. I know that you have your app, Black Therapy app. You want to tell us a little bit about the app?
Yes. So oh my goodness, I have plenty of family members that deal with mental health issues, from bipolarism to schizophrenia to anxiety, right? And none of my people, none, and I say zero, other than me, have actually seen a licensed clinical social worker. And I wanted to allow and bridge the gap because there's such a huge gap in every community, and even more so in our community. We
Right.
we don't tend to prioritize our mental health over other things that are, not as important in our lives. So what I wanted to do was to bring Black therapists in one location to help them reach more of the Black community, because there's already a stigma enough. So when it comes to trying to find one that fits you, it can be discouraging. It's not an easy process. So I wanted to make it a bit easier. So I have some therapists listed in the app. You can utilize the app. You can talk to the therapist and get some insight to kind of find out if it's a good fit for you to move forward with their services.
Oh, that's dope. I love that. So basically you go onto the app, and I'll make sure that I put it in the comment section. You go into the app, and I'm guessing that's when you start the process of looking for a therapist. How many therapists do you have on the app?
So there's 6 therapists in the app. So, and of course, when you see a therapist, if you're in a state where one of our therapists are not listed, you can reach out to me. People reach out to me all the time and say, give me the state that they're looking for a therapist in, and I will help them find a therapist. So, yep, you can jump on there. You can check out. So in our app, we actually have videos. If you look at any of the other directories of therapists, a lot of them only have a picture and their description and maybe some information about who they are, but we actually have videos. So the therapist is speaking about what they do and a little bit about their why. So you can kind of make a little emotional connection, and kind of determine if you want to give that therapist a call and talk to them a little bit further.
I like that. I think that's really cool. That's really amazing of you to think to do that. I think about back when I was a little kid, and no shade to my environment, but I don't remember like really going to counseling. And I think about the things that I learned because I see a counselor right now. My kids see a counselor every other week or whatever, right? We think we make it a part of our life, just like we do the doctor, especially right now, right?
Yes.
And I just think about like being a kid and having like feelings, like certain emotions, or thinking about certain things, and just not really knowing how to process it. And then as an adult, my counselor is like, well, all you got to do is, do this and do a little box breathing, because I got PTSD, do a little box breathing. And my doctor gave me this thing called a alpha stem. You ever heard of an alpha stem?
Uh-uh.
All right. So veterans, if you're watching this, I know y'all watching this, I see y'all. Alpha stem is basically, it sends electricity. It sounds weird, right? It sounds weird, but it sends like a pulse through your ear. I wish I had it in here. And you clip it on, and it looks like a TENS machine, but it's not a TENS machine. It's super dope. I mean, I actually got it from the VA, and you clip it to your ears. You can do it from a range of, think of like 0.5 to 1, and it sends that pulse to your brain. It helps with anxiety. It helps with depression. It helps with, like, if you have insomnia. It's really cool. It's really cool. There's a bunch of different studies done on it. Don't take my word, y'all. I'm not a doctor, so don't go out, right? Don't go out and get this thing, and start putting it on weird body parts, your lips and stuff, and blame it on me. I'm not a doctor. Don't listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying it worked for me. It worked for me. I don't know if it's going to work for you, but I was watching, Dakota Meyer. He got what did he get? He got the Medal of Honor, right? He was having troubles with PTSD. And the only reason I know that because he was on the show, Teen Mom. He was married. Yeah, he was with Sarah Palin's daughter. Yeah, and he was tripping. And I remember telling my wife, like, he has PTSD.
Yeah.
Why are they like? Why is nobody saying anything? Like, he's withdrawn. She's thinking he's going to commit suicide. But anyway, he tried the alpha stem, and it's working for him.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that you're in the space of mental health. You said growing up, y'all didn't have nobody went to see doctors or anything like that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, but we talk about communication in our home. There was not barely any of it. We talked, of course, right? But we learn how to communicate as adults. There is so much, and especially as children, we don't empower our kids enough. I make sure that I listen to what my kids are saying, and also to how they're talking to themselves. So, sometimes because you'll hear them, I'm not good at this, or I'm not gonna be able to do it, or today is gonna be a bad day, right? But if we as parents are paying attention, not only to what we're talking to ourselves about, but also how our kids are communicating to themselves, is extremely important. And no, we didn't have those conversations. We didn't see therapists when I was growing up. And that's really where a lot of our problems stem from, is not having those conversations or not being empowered as children. And then we grow into these adults and we don't know how to use our words. We're having tough times in our relationships because we don't know how to communicate. Or you were raised in an environment where a kid was to be seen and not heard, right? So think about what that does. Stunts your voice, not stunts your growth. It stunts your voice as a child. And that's so important to be communicating with our children, empowering them with who they are, and letting them know who they can be and who they're going to be, how powerful that they're going to be in their future. So yes, we didn't have those discussions, but we have those discussions in my house today. You better believe that.
Oh, I love that. I thought about, I was watching The Art of Public Speaking. It was on Mind Valley. Eric, oh man, they're going to kill me.
I like Mind Valley.
Yeah. But what he was talking about is the reason why we're so afraid of public speaking is because growing up, we've had our parents say, shh, shut your mouth when grown folks are talking, or this is a grown folks conversation. No shade to our parents because I did it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I did it, where I'm like, hey, we're trying to figure this out. And they have their voice, and they're trying to use their voice. And what we do is we censor them, and going forward, they think, oh my God, it's not my place to speak. And that's why I'm so glad that you said that. It's up to us and our generation to make sure that we let them talk. We let them know that we hear them. And oh my God, that's I was going to ask you, being a speaker. Shit, I forgot we was live. I might as well just ask you. I'm just going to ask you, not straight up, straight up. I'm just going to ask you. It's like, and not just being a speaker, but just being a leader and being in the Marine Corps. You're so used to like giving your Marines their like instructions. You're so used to being a speaker. Like, you ever have those moments because you feel like you have to have all the answers, so you make sure that you give them the answers? Because I have those moments, and my kids hate it. They hate when I go all motivational speaker on them, and they're just like, oh my God. Like, you ever have those moments where you're like, I just need to shut up and listen?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I see it on my daughter's face. As speakers, we can read the body language, of our receivers, of the audience. So I'm right now, my daughter's 17, and we're having the college discussion.
Oh.
Honey, what do you want to do? Because of course, as parents, you want to be as supportive as possible. Well, if you want to talk to someone about graphic design, let me know. I'll contact someone on LinkedIn and we can ask for, an interview or something, So I'm always on her, and I'm giving her this and the inspiration that and this. And even this morning, so funny. We were heading to school and I was like, hey, honey, you ready to slay today? I was like, because you're beautiful. You're smart. You can do it, right? And she's like, Mom, I needed this on Tuesday. So it was like, Mom, hush, not today.
Not today.
Okay, let me pull back. Let me pull back into my little hole, and I'll just drive you on to school and drop you off. I love you.
It's hard. It's hard because you almost feel like if you don't say something, you're doing them a disservice. But
yes.
A good speaker, a good teacher is also a good listener.
Yes, absolutely.
That was good.
Listen intently. And
that was
listen,
really good. Oh.
Listen to not respond, right? A lot of times we're listening to make sure that we can come back with a response. Listen to just digest.
Oh my God, you're pulling it out of me, man. Let's look at this. I always let my 4-year-old make her own decisions.
Yeah.
I don't always let her do what she decides, but I want her to learn to make decisions. That is,
that's decision making early. Oh my goodness.
We need that in the workplace.
You're raising a strong woman, a woman that's not gonna stand to allow anyone else to have a voice for her. She's gonna have her own voice when it comes that time. So that's beautiful, Alex. That's good.
Oh yes. Positive self-talk is imperative.
Yes. Yeah. Positive self-talk. Speaking of that, so I find myself more often saying, I can do this. And I'm saying I can do this. I'm learning and I'm going through and I'm growing through grace, but I'm finding myself, that's kind of like a subconscious speech to myself. I can do this. So for everyone that's listening, when you have tough times, I want you to put some sticky notes all over the house and remind yourself that you can do it. I can do this. Put it by the bathroom on the mirror. You see it in the morning. I can do this. You put it by the light switch when you get ready to go to bed. I can do this. You put it by on the fridge when it's time to go get that snack. I can do this. Yes, that positive self-talk, that's imperative. It's imperative for us. And it's imperative for our babies. The more we do it and we set the example, the more that it's easier for them when they run into those tough times in life.
Yeah. What is that quote? So as a person thinketh, so are they.
Yes.
No, self-talk. I think it is important. I told you this. I think I told you this, but I've always had a fear of public speaking. And I still have it. But it's the repetition, right? It's the repetition, me knowing that I have something to say, me knowing that I have a goal to inspire, ignite, and make an impact on this world. That's what keeps me speaking. But you're talking about, affirmations and giving yourself those affirmations. That's one thing I do before I get on the stage. If it's 10 people, if it's 100 people, if it's 1,000 people, I get on my hands and knees and I ask God to give me the message, because I've already done the work. I've already prepared. I've did what I'm supposed to do. Let it pour into me. And sometimes I bombed before, to where I'm just like, oh, I really want to say that. But those affirmations, they don't just keep you going for in that moment, but they keep you going for, they help you build up that muscle memory. I can do it. And you start saying it, you start doing it, you start feeling it, you start freaking believing it. you start believing
Yes,
it.
you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah. Hey, hey,
That's
hey.
beautiful. That is
We're gonna
beautiful.
we're gonna close it
Yes.
up in a minute, but I think we're gonna let the church go a
High
little bit
five
longer.
yourself in the mirror. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to check that out. Mel Robbins.
Yeah, I actually just
Oh, thank you, Melissa.
yeah, I just read her book, The 5 Second Rule. I think that's where it came from, right, Melissa? She mentioned that the 5 second rule, to where if and it goes, I think it goes a little bit with affirmations, where let's say going live, for instance, right? This is a pain for people to go live, because this is public speaking, and sometimes can be a little bit harder than you just speaking in front of a group. But let's say if I'm nervous, and I'm talking to the viewers, I say, if you're nervous and you're like, man, I need to go live. My company's telling me I got to do some more stuff. And you tell yourself, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to write the content. Then you're like, okay, that's hard. I'm still overwhelmed. And then okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to go live. Boom. And then you're just like, and then you get over that. And then is smooth sailing. Sometimes it might not be too smooth sailing, but the 5 second rule, it kind of just help you make those split decisions. Yeah. I appreciate you. Where can the folks, where can they find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also, you can find me on my website. It's www.coachtominaward. I'm also on Instagram, and that's coach_Tomina Ward. Those are the main places. I'm also on Facebook as well, and that's just Tomina Ward. So you can Google and find me. I'm in quite a few places. So I'm there. If you need me, I'm there.
No, I love that. I love that. Yeah, you help quite a few people with speaking, and I'm pretty sure they see the speeches and they're like, how can I be an amazing speaker like Tomina? If there's one thing that you could tell me going forward, like, how do I become an amazing speaker like Tomina? What would that be?
Only one thing.
One thing, just one tip, just one tip.
I would say authenticity is the best thing, because if you try and show up as someone else, it's not going to work. But if you show up as your authentic self every single time, the audience is going to see you, and they're either going to love you or they're not, but you're still going to be you. So if you show up authentically every single time, the people that are for you, that are there to listen to you, learn from you, they're going to come, and they're going to keep coming, because you're not going to change. So just be yourself, be authentically you every time. And when you do that, you'll show up, you'll shine, and your people they'll find you. They'll come to you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you for being on the show. I know you're a busy lady. You're out inspiring the world. I appreciate you doing this. I really do, from the bottom of my heart.
This is so awesome. You're an amazing person, Tony.
Stop it.
I really appreciate you, bro. I do. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I don't know. I try to be amazing. As long as I got amazing friends that can keep me up, amazing people around me, because I believe in community. Look at me. Yes. I was about to say unity and community. My mentor, that's what he says every time we talk. There's unity and community, unity and community. I believe in that. I believe in, having peers to kind of help you get through the things that you're going through. And it's, again, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. My family appreciate you. You're just amazing. Keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. If you ever need a word, you just want to call me, right? You ever need a word, or you want to get out a word and you want somebody to shut up, call me, and I'll just listen. All right. I got your back.
Absolutely. And I know you do. I know. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. So go to Coach Tomina Ward.com. I hope I spelled that right. I was trying to
That's right.
talk and kind of run this thing. If we got
That's
any
me.
up and coming engineers that want to get on the team, I can't do it no more. I've been misspelling words and
No, that's awesome.
and I
Awesome.
just say, you know
Awesome.
what? I'm just being authentically me.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Any
sir.
any
Amen
last
to
words
that.
for the guests? For
I would say understand, the power of your words. Right now we're speakers. We know the impact of some of what we say, right? We talk about death and life being in the power of the tongue. The way we communicate with ourselves and with others is so powerful. Watch what you're saying to yourself. Continue to speak life into yourself because you can, even when times are tough. Write that sticky, find that sticky, put it in your pocket. Remind yourself that you can. Whatever it is, you can do it. So I just wanted to encourage everyone that's listening because times are tough and they'll continue to be tough here and there. But at the end of the day, we'll continue to move forward and we got this. So yeah.
Ooh, I appreciate you. That was so good. I'm gonna close us out. You want to hang out in my fancy green room really
Woo!
quick? All
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ooh, man, that was good. I got a whole page of notes. That was amazing. I'm so grateful to Tamina for sharing her story, being vulnerable in sharing her story. I'm so grateful to you for watching, for checking us out. The engagement has been amazing. I still haven't asked if you would go to iTunes, iHeart, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. If you found this show to be of value, please give us a review. Only 5-star review. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So please give us a review. It definitely helps other people find out about the podcast. Tomorrow, we have Scott Mason. He's another speaker. He's doing some incredible things here on LinkedIn. He's doing some incredible things in the world. He's an international speaker. The first time we talked, I was sitting here and I'm just like, dude, we got to stop talking because we got to go live with this stuff. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. That's how good it was. Just like with Tamina, man, all my guests, I'm bragging a little bit. I got the best guests that come on this freaking podcast. The best guests. What else we got? Obviously, I'm not the best freaking host. I don't remember. I'm kidding. So before I came on, my daughter had actually reached out to me and reached out like she called me a text me. She came in. She was like, "Dad, you have got to talk about Phyllis Weber. You got to talk about Phyllis Weber and Orange T-shirt Day." And I'm just like, okay, what's the deal? Because I mean, she was serious. She was serious. So Phyllis Webstad and Orange T-shirt Day. I'm going to show you a quick video.
Hello everyone, my name is Phyllis Webstad. I am Shawetmch from the Strachamch, Kenno Creek, Chatltam, Dog Creek First Nation, which is about 1.5 hours southwest from Williams Lake, BC. I grew up with my granny on the Dog Creek Reserve until I was 10, then moved with my auntie after she finished university. When I had just turned 6, I was sent to the St. Joseph Indian Residential School near Williams Lake, a place we called the Mission. My granny bought me a shiny new orange shirt to go to school in. When I got there, I was stripped, my clothing taken away, including my new orange shirt, and I never saw it again. I was no longer excited to be going to school. I wanted to go home to Granny. I had to stay there for 300 sleeps. No matter how much all of us little kids cried, it didn't matter. No one listened to us. Our feelings didn't matter. We didn't matter. I am the 3rd generation that attended residential school. Both my grandmother and mother attended the mission for 10 years each. Today is a day to honor and remember residential school survivors and their families. Every child matters, even if you're an adult. We must also remember those children that never made it and are no longer with us. Today is a day for survivors to tell their stories and for us to listen with open hearts. I am humbled and honored that you are all taking part in Orange Shirt Day. When I was in school, I didn't know my own history, so I am overjoyed that you are taking part and learning the true history of Canada's First Peoples. Gukshjem, thank you.
Wow, that was some heavy stuff. So yeah, today is Orange T-shirt Day. If you have a cause that you want to reach out to us, you know, a cause, especially like Orange T-shirt Day, I had never heard of it, and I've never heard of that situation, which is, it's kind of nerve-wracking to me. Yeah, that's what I want this show to be about. I want it to be about educating people. I want it to be about inspiring those that are uninspired, and the ones that are inspired, I want to give them a greater sense of purpose. And that's how I think we do it. We highlight the amazing leaders that we have that come on this show to show us that we do have hope. We highlight the people that have gone before us, like the people that are in those videos. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Take care.